We're here to talk about what happened at ACIP. Man, people were ready. They had the pitchforks and the torches, and they were all ready. And I don't, don't mistake me. I don't think that for one moment that pitchforks and torches are necessary, and figuratively, of course, in this situation. I do think that a lot of people got a lot of things wrong, and there were only three things that got voted on over these 2 days. So the first one is the mumps, measles, rubella, and varicella. Varicella is more commonly known as chickenpox. Just so everyone can get an idea of what we're dealing with here, under 4, there is a very, very, very low seizure risk in children. We're talking like 0.002 if they're separated, and 0.008 if they're together. So it technically the risk is very, very low, but there is a risk. And when those events happen, it does hurt uptake. And 84 or 86 or something percent of kids already get this vaccine this way. So like there's a lot of messaging going on that people are saying that, well, if you split this out of the quadrivalent into a trivalent and a single shot, there will damage uptake. That is absolutely not true. It's already how we do it. Really not a lot changed there. And it's actually safer. It is technically safer. Whether or not that risk was significant enough to make that change, the debate. But I just feel like, why would you vote in favor of the shot with greater seizure risk? Now, the other thing they voted on, the other thing they did not vote on was the Hep B vaccine. Now, the Hep B vaccine is delivered at birth, the first round, and this is because back when they started this process, there were somewhere between 10 and 20,000 cases of Hep B transmission between mother and child during delivery. Okay, so it's shared in blood. And the kids who were infected in this period were more likely to have long-term chronic illness related to their liver. So that's why we do it. Makes sense. But at the end of the day, what their plan was we test the mother for Hep B and then delay the vaccine for 1 month if they were negative. And just 1 month. Interesting idea. I feel like we should be testing for Hep B if we're not. But they ran into a problem. ACIP doesn't have the power to mandate hospitals test everyone for Hep B in relation to the vaccine. They don't have that power. ACIP really only exists to codify a recommendation that forces insurance to pay for it. Which brings us to today's day of voting, which had 4 things on the docket, but only one was technically binding. Okay, so you got number 1, you have a document that's going to be given to you when you get the vaccine. So the pharmacist is going to give it to you and is going to explain some of the risks. 2 was a move for prescription for everyone, which I really tried to explain this the whole time, and I feel like people just didn't hear me when I was explaining it because all these other people were explaining all these other things incorrectly, right? If you're all explaining incorrectly, it doesn't make you more right if more people are saying it. And the third vote was the shared clinical decision making thing, which is why I don't think the prescription was ever really a real threat. In the shared clinical decision making thing, they want your clinical decision maker to talk to you about these things. And that person can be like the pharmacist, that person can be a doctor. There's like, I don't know, 6 or 7 positions, but technically, because of vote number 4, and vote number 4 is the only binding vote because it has to do with their recommendation itself, is that you basically now self-attest. They had 2 separate beats. One was for if you're over 65 older, you can self-attest for access. And the other one was anyone from 6 months up could also self-attest, but there was just more like, hey, did you know stuff. Now, that being said, the stuff that's in the warning document that they want to give to people is kind of brutal. It's kind of brutal. It's entirely focused on mRNA. It's clear that they're going after mRNA alone. The problem that they have with mRNA has nothing to do with Novavax. We also got our first notice that Novavax is distributing right now. Sanofi spoke directly and said that they started distribution a few days ago, and we should expect it in small pharmacies within the week. So the vote number 4, the only binding one, really just made it so that it's exactly how I said it was going to be. It's basically a self-attest system. There is a shared clinical decision-making guideline sort of hoop, but now that's become like the standard of care. Like they just kind of embraced the shared clinical decision-making guidelines, and they called it individual something, I can't remember. And then insurance has already said it's going to cover it. So yeah, so all these people who are like insurance won't cover it and blah blah blah. I mean, we're still going to have problems. It's still going to be like this or that. But this system now, the way it's set up, is the easiest it's ever been to get a new priming series of Novavax for people who are starting out, because now the shared clinical decision making guidelines are the law of the land. They allow vaccines every 2 months. So that means any person who wants Novavax The pharmacist will now know about the rule. They won't have to explain it anymore. So, like, from our perspective, this was objectively good. Oh, and then the Hep B thing, by the way, I forgot to mention the Hep B vote got pushed because they didn't have power to do that. So they were like, oh, so they didn't vote on it. Nothing happened. Complete nothing burger.